and you should be all set to go.
Great. The floor is yours, Mr. Watson.
Great, thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are meeting tonight under extraordinary circumstances. Our community, along with communities around the country and the world, have been observing social distancing and other health safety measures to slow the progress of the COVID-19 pandemic for many weeks. To allow normal or near normal operations of city government functions to continue, the governor of New York has declared a disaster emergency and has issued multiple executive orders, and the city of Rochester mayor has issued several local emergency orders, which together authorize the holding of this hearing virtually, subject to waivers of certain requirements of the New York State Open Meetings Law and the Rochester Zoning Code. In addition, at a prior meeting, we amended the Planning Commission rules and procedures to allow us to conduct this hearing as authorized by the governor's and mayor's emergency orders and to waive other requirements to allow us to proceed with this hearing as I will now describe. Primarily, these waivers involve the requirement for in-person attendance at this hearing. The emergency orders permit us to hold this hearing by teleconference with no in-person attendance, allow participant presentations and public testimony by teleconference. Written public comments, both in favor of and opposed to the application, to be submitted by email, by hand copy, documented mail to the zoning office, or deposited in the secure drop box located in the permit office of City Hall. The deadline to submit written comments was 5 p.m. Friday, May 7th, 2021. And the deadline to register to provide spoken comment was 12 noon today, Monday, May 10th, 2021. Although the conduct of this hearing has been altered from some of the normal procedures, many things remain the same. All the normal notifications of this hearing, including mail notice, publication, and the posting of notice, were followed. A staff report has been prepared for each application, and that along with the application and other pertinent documents have been presented to the commission members and posted online several days prior to tonight's meeting. All the normal timeframes for the applicant presentation and comments in favor of or opposed to the application remain the same. Most importantly, this commission will hear, review, and make decisions based on all the applications with the same diligence and the same standards as required by the zoning code. Before we begin, I would like to explain the ground rules for the hearing. When a case is called, the applicant will be allowed 15 minutes to present their case to the commission. The applications were all posted on the city's website at least a week ago and were available for public review. All applicants were advised to ensure that their applications were complete and included all information that they intend to present at this hearing tonight. As the application is presented, staff will reasonably as possible identify and show pages of the application that the applicant is addressing in the presentation. Following our normal procedure, the commission members may ask the applicant questions about the application. After the applicant's presentation is completed, staff will read into record any public comments that were submitted after the staff report was completed and posted on the city's website. First, those in support of the application, and then those in opposition. These comments will be limited to 10 minutes if they were submitted by a neighborhood association, 3 minutes for all other comments. If reading the submitted written comments will exceed the time limit, staff will summarize the comments to fit within the time frame. If multiple submissions repeat the same comment, staff will summarize those comments. Public comments that were received in time to be included in the staff report will not be read into the hearing record. The public also has an opportunity to register in advance to speak at the virtual hearing. After the comments have been read, the applicant will have 5 minutes to offer any testimony in rebuttal. At the conclusion of the applicant's rebuttal testimony, the case will be closed. However, if the commission determines that substantial new evidence has been presented by the applicant during the hearing, either during the original hearing or during the rebuttal testimony, the case will be adjourned and held over to the next commission's meeting announced date in order to give public an opportunity to review the comments of the new evidence. After completing all the hearings tonight, the commission may elect to take a short break, which will be announced. After the hearing takes a break, if any, the commission will commence deliberations and voting on all the applications, except for any application that might have been adjourned to another meeting date. Please also notice that if your case is approved today, a written decision will be mailed to you within 15 business days. The decision will inform you of the next steps to complete the process of the approval process. Before we open with the first case, please note that the commission are all volunteers, and I would like to have each commissioner introduce themselves to confirm their presence as the purpose of a roll call and to establish a quorum for this hearing, and introduce themselves and mention which quadrant they live in. So we'll do that now. Commissioners?
Brad Flower, South District.
Kim Harding, East District.
Eugenio Marlin, Northwest.
Milton Pichardo, Northeast.
Richard Mauser, Southeast.
Ms. Williams, I think you're on mute.
You're muted.
There we go. Arkiva Williams, Southwest.
Thank you. And I'm Dave Watson, Southwest. And may we have the first case, please?
Sure thing. So case number 1 is an urban renewal plan amendment for the Market View Heights Urban Renewal District. And the request is to amend the Market View Heights Urban Renewal Plan, which is an action requiring City Planning Commission recommendation to City Council. So this would be an informational meeting. However, this item is being held tonight at the request of the applicant. So this this case will not be heard, nor will it be deliberated on. It is being held. Notification will be sent when this is back on the agenda.
Did we have anyone that had wanted to speak on this case?
Nope, no one registered.
Okay, fine. Then maybe have the next case, please.
Sure thing. Case number 2, file number E13-2021. This is a special permit at 235 Alexander Street. The request is to establish a restaurant in the carriage house located in the rear of the property, to establish outdoor seating for the proposed restaurant, and to legalize the off-street parking lot at the property. Actions requiring City Planning Commission approval.
And do you have anyone to be sworn in?
Yes, the applicant Bradford Strine, and then his design professional Adam Caulfield.
Okay. Mr. Stein and Mr. Caulfield, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, and Mr. Caulfield?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, yes, I hear you.
All right.
Let me swear you in. Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. And you may proceed, gentlemen.
This is Adam, and good evening, everyone. I wanted to start by addressing some of the concerns that people had after the last hearing. I wanted to start with the occupancy load. So I looked into the building code, and this building is mostly an assembly building, concentrated tables and chairs. And so what the code says is each occupant needs 15 square feet net, which is basically the usable area divided by 15 square feet will give you the occupancy. So on the first floor, on the inside, 225 square feet net divided by 15 is 15 occupants. And that small outside area is 90 square feet, divided by 15 is 6 occupants. So the total occupants for the first floor is 21, with 6 of which would be seasonal. And then 200 square foot per occupant is for the employee area, like the kitchen and behind the bar. And that only comes out to about 1 occupant per area. So an additional 2, 1 in the kitchen, 1 at the bar. On the second floor, inside the building is a total of 375 square feet, which gives you 25 occupants. And the outside seating area is 230 square feet, which gives you 16 occupants. So that's a total of 41, with 16 of which are seasonal. So the totals are 40 and 22 are seasonal. So 62 people would be the max occupancy. So another concern that people had was the fact that there was only 1 exit from the building. So the code says that stories with 1 exit, the maximum occupant load per floor is 49, and the maximum travel distance out of the building is 75 feet. So the maximum travel distance from the second floor outside seating area down the stairs to get out is about 50 feet. So it's less than 75 feet. And the second floor maximum occupancy is 41, which is less than 49. And the first floor occupancy is 23, which is less than 49. So we're okay with the 1 exit. So if we can move on to the site plan. So using the square footages that I just described, with 1 spot per 100 square feet, you need 11. What I came up with was you need 11 parking spots total, 3 of which would be seasonal. So one of the things that was a concern was having parking in the driveway, in the exit drive. So I deleted all of those parking spots and redrew the site plan. And it looks like we can fit 10 parking spots, which would be 1 less than we need. So that said, some of the things that we talked about last time to make up for the lack of parking was that we were going to have a bike rack available, that we were going to add a pedestrian walkway so that people that are walking to the establishment would be able to get to the back of the site safely, and multiple bus routes near the site. And it's also within 1,000 square feet of the Alexander Park parking garage, which is open 24 hours a day. And we also, Brad can talk about it, but he has contacted some of the people that own the building across the street to potentially rent additional parking spots. A couple of other things that was a concern was we didn't show any additional lighting on the outside of the building. So I added to the site plan on the actual carriage house 3 additional wall pack lights that we can add to the outside of the building. And one of the main concerns was how trash was going to be dealt with. So originally we had shown a dumpster, which was enclosed with a fence, and we've redesigned that to show just your regular trash totes, and they're going to be enclosed in a shed that's attached to the side of the building, so it won't be open to the environment. Let's see. Yeah, and with that, I'm gonna hand it over to Brad.
Okay, as Adam, I'll just piggyback off what he said. Well, first of all, hello, everyone, and thanks for having me on. He was talking about the additional parking spaces. So there's a building across the street that's owned by Buckingham Properties. And they've agreed to lease up to 7 parking spaces to me, depending on what is needed for the, to meet the requirements. And I feel that 7 is beyond what is needed, and they will be marked specifically for the use of the restaurant. So there isn't any confusion between the people that live in the building or the people that work in the building. Is everyone hearing me okay?
Yep.
Okay, I felt like I was talking to myself. As far as some of the other concerns that people had, I feel like, although Adam touched on the maximum occupancy, I'd just like to reiterate that just because there is a maximum occupancy possible of, I think he said 62, the design of the restaurant is for a small space, and it's designed to be, an intimate setting. And I'm not looking to try and maximize the seating. So, I mean, I'm looking at 30 to 40 people maximum. I mean, at any given time, I think it would probably be less than that. And so that's something to consider, that, there isn't necessarily going to be, the maximum amount of people in there, because it's going to be an intimate setting. It's not going to be, a place that where you're trying to pack as many people in as you can. I think that the thing that I'm going for is a more intimate and quiet atmosphere. A place that, the way that the carriage house is set up is it's set back off the street a little bit, and it's kind of, it's in a quiet place, even though it's right in the center city and right, near a lot of the bigger venues and stuff. So I think it's a good addition to the neighborhood, because it'll create a space that's, more intimate, more quiet, somewhere where the idea is that you go after, you go eventually when we can take in shows and go to maybe Jiva Theater or something like that, stop there before or after and enjoy a quiet sit down meal with, 1 or 2 people. So it's not like something that we're trying to force into the neighborhood and trying to create this big to do. I think it's got kind of a misnomer from the neighborhood, as far as being a quote unquote bar, which it is not. It is a restaurant. And the other thing I did want to speak on is that I tried to reach out to the neighborhood association to try and figure out a way to talk to the people in the neighborhood and discuss, any issues and stuff. But at this time, due to COVID, I believe I spoke with John Lembeck. He said they weren't holding any type of Zoom meetings. They didn't have like an online forum that I could post in to, put something out there for people to ask questions in a less personal setting. Obviously, going and knocking on doors isn't something that's really going to happen during the pandemic. So that's, an area that I didn't feel was appropriate. But other than that, I'm trying to put myself out there in a way so that people can see that, you know, we're trying to do something that would benefit the community and that would benefit this area. I was actually on site last weekend and I was trying to help the owner of the building kind of clean up some of the area. I mean, it looked as though possibly, you know, a homeless person was living behind the building. You know, I saw people wandering through from property to property that, you know, probably wouldn't be there if there was something established there. So I think that's something to consider that maybe the neighborhood hasn't considered, is when you have a vacant building as opposed to a building that's being used, it becomes a positive influence for the entire area. So that's, you know, hopefully something to look at in a light that would allow for, you know, the use of this building to become something rather than just be another, you know, vacant building in the city. Well, that's my spiel for this evening, and hopefully everyone can look at the positives from, you know, a business standpoint and, you know, building the city back up to something exciting.
Anything else, sir?
I think that's all from myself. If Adam has anything else.
That's all.
Okay.
All right, that being said, any questions for the applicant from the commission?
I have one question.
Yes, Mr. Marlin?
Yeah, I know that the applicant said that the parking on the exit side was repositioned. Can you explain that some more?
Yeah, so during the last meeting, there's existing parking spots on that exit driveway. And so when I had originally drawn the parking, I kept those parking spots as is. But
Okay.
after we were having a discussion, we were talking about how having parking spots on an exit way is probably not the best idea. So I removed those parking spots and restriped the parking lot as best as possible to try and maximize the parking.
One thing this accomplished is it's one less waiver. Initially, they needed a waiver for their egress aisle because it was too narrow, but now they've increased the egress aisle width to 17 feet. So they will no longer be needing that waiver over here.
Okay.
Can you remind me of your hours of operations?
The hours of operations that we're looking to do is between 4:30 p.m. and 10 p.m. Wednesday and Thursday, and then till I think 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday. And the possibility of having it opened on Saturday and Sunday during the day for a brunch from 11 a.m.
Due to the overlay boutique zoning district, the outside area is restricted to 11 p.m. So it can't, the front patio over here and the second floor patio above, those patrons would not be permitted on those areas after 11 p.m.
Thank you. And there has been some improvement since your last application. I do suggest you look into the safety concerns as you make that turn into the parking and to ensure that your music, your decibels are not so loud that they impact or disturb the neighbors, since that's probably one of the major concerns they have. I don't have personally a problem with the use to be a restaurant. It's just that it is a legitimate concern, some of the safety points that the neighborhood association brought up. So I highly suggest that you go and talk to them, regardless of how we end up these, how we vote on this.
Right. As I discussed, I think in the previous meeting with a different establishment that I had in the city, that I was more than willing to meet with anyone in the neighborhood, as I have done previously with, a different establishment. So I'm willing to work the best I can with the neighborhood, to make everyone satisfied. So I'm not trying to force myself into the neighborhood. I want the people of the neighborhood to actually come and enjoy themselves there, and that's a better situation for myself because it's less people that need to drive to the establishment. And that's kind of the idea, is that, I want the more local people to be able to walk and enjoy that space.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions for the applicant? So Anna, could you put that page up again with the site plan? I have a question. Is that dotted line that's around the property, that would be to the top of the page, to the left and to the bottom, is that a fence? So is your property totally enclosed with a fence?
No, there's no fence there. There's trees along the north side.
And that
And
would be to
then
the right?
there's the top of the screen would be the north side.
Oh, okay, yeah, there's the, I see the,
So there's trees that line that side, and then there's nothing on the other side. There's actually a separate entrance to the building next door. So there's another driveway that runs along the south side, and there's a steel barrier that's about 1.5 feet off the ground. I think that's kind of separates the two driveways.
kind of like a bumper for vehicles, kind of a bollard?
Yeah, like a railing that runs across there.
Okay,
Like
yeah,
almost
well, I
like-
guess I asked that question regarding potentially people entering from off-site to your location, if they're not driving, potentially walking from the west onto your property. Is that a possibility? People will use that as a
There's a
walk
fence
through?
across the back. So if you look at the short side, there is a fence across the back. And actually, I'm not sure if that fence is owned by the owner of this property or the other property,
Mhm.
but I would be willing to, work with either the owner of this property or the other property to, either fix the fence or make it more appealing and,
Hmm.
because right now it's just a chain link fence.
Right,
And I would prefer to have something a little bit more visually pleasing, so.
and I think also not only visually pleasing, but again, I think that would eliminate some of the concerns of neighbors that are on Presa Street. I can't remember the name of it.
Lafayette.
Green.
Priest.
Oh.
Again, for people coming from your location, going to that side of the street or vice versa. So
Right, there's
a
an
better fence would
additional,
eliminate that problem.
yeah, there's an additional fence at the back of the adjacent property that separates their street from Alexander Street. That's, I think, a 6-foot
Okay,
wrought iron fence. So there's no way to get through on foot unless you climb over a 6-foot wrought iron fence. So,
yep, great. That answers my question then.
okay.
Thank you, sir. Any other
Yep.
questions for the applicant? Any other questions? All right, hearing none. Anna, do we have any comments or testimony?
Yep, so 7 comments were included in with the application itself, and then
Yes.
since that, we received a number. And we also have 1 member of the public who signed up to provide their verbal testimony tonight.
Okay.
So Mr. Lumbach, have you joined us yet? There we go. John, just let us know when you're with us and Dave can swear you in.
I finally got the buttons pushed correctly. I'm here, ready?
All right, John. Good to see you again. Let me swear you in. Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, you may proceed, sir.
The opposition stated by myself in the letter is designed to help the applicants who I know, the neighborhood residents. well, I know fairly well. And the goal here is to reduce the commotion to the residential neighborhood. Nobody wants a permanent party in their backyard with 40 plus people. I know how much commotion that size of group causes in the neighborhood, because I've lived in the Park Avenue neighborhood for over 50 years and I'm quite used to the festivities that go on during the Park Avenue Festival, many of which got outrageously out of hand. But even just a small, relatively tame group, such as a family reunion, still can be fairly boisterous. And to be running late at night is a big concern. However, there are some procedural problems too. This building exceeds the 1,200 square feet gross area usage stated in the code is listed in my letter. The building is also being modified. The code specifically says use of an existing building. If you are expanding the building, it's not an existing building any longer. And those are two principal concerns that really should be addressed. This is supposed to be a boutique overlay district, small scale operations without harming residential neighborhoods. And I do realize this is a transitional area, especially within the forthcoming code, but we're dealing with the code as written today. Adjacent neighbors are residential, and that's what the concern is. And that's pretty much everything there is. You have the written copy in front of you, and that's what we're dealing with. So there's no animus here to Mr. Strine, but and he's run his business fairly well on Monroe Avenue when before it was burned out. But there's always the potential to have mayhem later on. If should he not succeed, we have no control over who the next applicant is, and that's a legacy problem that no one wants to deal with.
All right, anything else, John?
That's it.
All right, thank you, sir. And Anna, we have another testimony that it needs to be written, spoken in.
Yes, so I will go ahead. Oh,
Question of Mr. Lembeck.
Yes.
definitely.
I have just a couple. Are you the president of the
I'm the
neighborhood?
vice president of the
The
neighborhood
vice president?
association.
And there's been no meetings of the neighborhood association, is that right?
No in-person meetings, and they have not conducted a Zoom meeting. What they generally do, if an issue comes up, the president polls the board and tasks me with doing research on a particular issue out there. I do most of the zoning and building code review, complaints and so forth. And I deliver all that to the president, and he shares it with the board, and he lets me know what their opinion is.
And was the board pulled together for this issue?
It was not pulled together for this issue. They did have a concern about the ultimate capacity of this operation out there. The prior application indicated something higher, maybe as high as 90. We have no official definition on what that is. We normally expect to see a statement by the fire department as to what the maximum capacity is permitted, and that's what can be policed in the future. And as things stand now, it's an open area that could be, we don't know at this point. So it's nice that it could be operated smaller, but that would not be binding on future occupants of the building, which is still a concern. So
Okay, but the neighborhood association was aware of this application and chose not to meet?
they did not meet, no.
Okay. And then you talked about Park Ave, or Park Ave Fest.
Yes.
In my review of the application, I don't see anything that suggests that it would be like a Park Ave Fest atmosphere. Is there anything that you have that would suggest to the contrary, or is there something that we're missing?
In my residency in the Park Avenue area, we have seen numerous private parties at houses that are not manageable, and it gets
During Park Ave Fest?
year round. It isn't just the Park Avenue Fest, and it gets to be quite annoying to a lot of people. It's caused a lot of people to move out because they couldn't reduce the number of parties to more manageable level, or the people operating the parties
And so
couldn't.
I guess I'm missing the connection between private parties during Park Ave Fest and a restaurant.
Any party. This is just for example, and I cited what may go on during the Park Avenue Festival or what happens during other times of the year.
Okay, thank you.
No one wants to get into calling the police. We like to be good neighbors, but how do you stop it before it starts? I guess you cannot rely on good intentions.
All right, thank you, John. Any other questions? All right, thank you. Anna?
Alrighty. So now I'm reading, we had our verbal testimony, so now I'm reading the written testimony that was received after the staff reports were published. So here we have from Earl and Dan Gurrell. Please consider these comments as an addendum to our previous submission opposing the proposed project at 235 Alexander. Our position remains the same. We are opposed. The city's own review requirements for special permit applications explains that in accordance with, and then they cite the code section, a special permit shall be approved only if evidence is presented which establishes that the proposed project will not have an adverse effect upon adjacent property, nor will it interfere with the use of neighboring properties. We stated in our previous submission and have not seen evidence to the contrary. All the reasons that we believe both of our office building next door, as well as our parking lot to the rear, will suffer an adverse effect and interfere with the use as related to noise, rodents, dumpster, and theft of parking. The construction alone will adversely affect our use, particularly with a 0-foot setback. How will the new structure be constructed without affecting the use of our parking spaces? Will construction be done exclusively from the inside? The city also states that the purpose of the overlay boutique district is to permit certain small-scale commercial uses that can exist proximate to neighbors without adversely affecting the residential environment. We believe that a restaurant that seats 60+ patrons on a postage stamp lot far exceeds a small-scale use. In addition to owning 233 Alexander and the parking lot behind the proposed restaurant, we own 16 Lafayette Park, a 5-unit house across the parking lot from the proposed restaurant. We feel the restaurant will negatively affect the quiet enjoyment we assure our tenants we will do our best to maintain. We also stand by our belief that the garbage from the restaurant will attract rodents and create an unpleasant stench. Mr. Strine writes that the garbage will be kept in a secure location. It is hard to manage that a location will be secure from rodents and smell. In addition, Mr. Strine's statement does not specify how often the totes will be picked up. With food garbage, it doesn't take long to attract rodents and create a foul smell. It appears that this proposal has more waiver requests than requirements to which the proposed operator is willing to adhere. Shouldn't the city be focused on projects requesting the occasional waiver rather than a proposal built on waivers? This is the case of more exception than rules. Having rules in place doesn't make a lot of sense if the city allows a workaround for every single one. In addition, the commission asked Mr. Strine to show evidence of neighborhood outreach. Almost a month later, he turned in a statement saying he had a brief conversation with the head of the neighborhood association, of which were on the fringe. He said they're not currently holding meetings and didn't feel it appropriate to try to meet with anyone in person. As an aside, John Lembach, the head of Park Meg's neighborhood association, wrote a letter opposing the proposed project. It's really disappointing and disheartening and would be extraordinarily frustrating if the commission accepts attempts made, i.e. one phone call, as sufficient. If Mr. Strine truly cared about helping the neighbors to better understand his proposal, it may have been an idea to start with his most proximate neighbors, those who share 50% of his boundaries, who would be more directly affected than most, and who expressed concern at the initial meeting. One of our primary concerns is the theft of our parking by the patrons of the proposed restaurant. The proposal explains that a parking arrangement has been made across the street. Whereas we recognize it is our responsibility to secure our own lot, we are curious as to how the operator of the proposed restaurant intends on communicating to the patrons where to park. Our thought is they will quickly park in the lot of least resistance, ours, before venturing across the street. This is even more likely to happen if there's no signage, etc. The parking on the proposed site is very tight and is likely to have issues. It appears that drivers, particularly in the spot closer to the rear of the yacht, are expected to do some very fancy maneuvering in a tight space, and likely after having a couple drinks, the lot is such where they would have to back out on the other parked cars and around the proposed restaurant before they would be pointing toward the exit driveway. The drawing of the lot also has a very unrealistic interpretation of where snow would be stored. In summary, oppose the proposed project at 235 Alexander. In our opinion, the scope of the proposed project far surpasses an appropriate use of a tiny building on a tiny lot. We hope our neighbor is soon able to find a more suitable use for the beautiful carriage house, but strongly believe that the current proposal is not fitting. Next, we have from Ed and Carol Steinberg. As previously written on January 6th and February 5th, we oppose the restaurant application at 235 Alexander Street as revised. Please refer to these past communications regarding the proposed restaurant and the bar. The proposal with its revisions risks our quality of life on Lafayette Place. In short, once a bar restaurant use is approved, one cannot know what one is going to get, and it's only a stone's throw from our R2 residents. We have had no contact with Mr. Strine, the applicant. We must remember that the restaurant and bar are proposed for residential, not commercial district. The building's gross building dimensions are only 22 by 27, with an intended occupancy of 64 people. It is difficult to conceive of 64 people in this rear accessory building. An intensive use is proposed here. Given the high occupancy level, alcohol sales, little parking, minimal lot size, and outdoor activities, it impractically requires a first floor kitchen to serve second floor dining. The CPC hopefully will scrutinize this proposal to carefully avoid and prevent likely negative impacts. Other questions we must also consider should include, will this principally be a restaurant or bar? What does their menu tell us? The notification for this application did not make any reference to a bar, perhaps denying other commenters a concerned voice. Based on the applicant's plan, the restaurant bar will be 600 feet in usable floor area. Section 120, 105, and 106 for OB districts notably allow for restaurant bars under 650 square feet in floor area, customer seating, and service area to be open from 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. For us, this will only be a short distance away. Bars greater than 650 square feet are prohibited, and bar uses less than 650 square feet are only specially permitted. What will prevent an operator from casually discontinuing the restaurant at will to make the operation 100% bar, a different use with more challenging impacts? How will activities, whether allowed or prohibited, such as large screen television, sports-related events, amplified sound systems, karaoke, live entertainment, and outdoor seating be controlled? Their impacts can be substantial, especially if they produce ambient noise, overcrowding, and traffic. Noise is a true quality of life issue for many. To say again, residents open windows on warm nights will not let even a small amount of noise go unnoticed. Site noise will occur from patrons themselves during trash removal at all hours, from cars, trucks, and motorcycles and exhaust fans. Lafayette neighbors have known these problems from the past and the present. There does not seem to be any good possibilities for dumpster placement or dumpster servicing. Toters would be quieter, but are prone to being poorly maintained. Vehicle and pedestrian circulation on this site will be very close quarters, often loud and possibly unsafe. There will be noise from motorcycles, cars, trucks till 2 a.m. It's not likely that patrons will use a parking garage almost a full block away and will instead make their own parking. Approval of a bar restaurant is more than a major operational concern. It provides precedent for other locations to become bars and restaurants in this R3, especially being a precedent for the principal building at 235. Should we expect more of the same here? Restaurants and bars are only first permitted as of right in C1 commercial district, 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. Our home is zoned R2, about 100 paces away. Other residents at 15 and 16 Lafayette Place reside even closer. We hope that you'll carefully consider the interests of Lafayette residents. We prize our neighborhood and its character. And then the last one was from Mr. Lombach, who stated his verbally.
Okay.
All right, thank you. At this time, we will close this case.
Oh, did you want to offer the opportunity to rebut?
I'm sorry. Yes, excuse me. Yes, you may provide them opportunity to rebut.
So Brad or Adam, if there was anything specific that you wanted to clear the air about, you have the opportunity to do so if you so choose.
I was unaware that I was able to do that, but I feel like the case that we have put forward should touch on all points that were addressed from the neighboring businesses and community. And I'm hoping that we're able to, find a positive solution for everyone. And as I said previously, there is fencing and things that stop people from going into the neighborhoods. So there isn't any, I don't think there's a large issue of, people mistakenly going into the neighborhoods that are adjacent to the carriage house.
And Dave, before you close this case, I forgot to mention that all present commissioners or commissioners deliberating on this case have visited the site. Andrew muted.
I'm sorry. Brad, Adam, anything else that you would like to share before we close the case?
No.
We appreciate your considerations.
All right, well, we thank you both. And Anna, we will close this case. Maybe have the next case, please.
Case number 5, file number E19-2021. The address is 685 Glide Street. This is a special permit to request a 9-space ancillary parking lot to serve the bar and restaurant with proposed. Oh, this is the wrong staff report. 1 second. This case was held last month, and I have last month's staff report. So let me go get their updated one. Here we go. Okay. One more time. Same file number, E19-2021, same address, 685 Glide Street, same request, special permit, but this request is to establish a 9-space ancillary parking lot to serve the mixed-use building located at 673 Glide Street. This is an action that requires City Planning Commission approval. And I have here that all present commissioners have visited the site.
Okay. And who do we have to swear in, Anna?
We have Mr. Farah and 2 individuals from Marathon Engineering, Eric and Raphael.
Okay. Are all of you present?
I do not believe we have Raphael with us. We have Eric and John.
Okay, I will swear Eric and John in. They can hear me.
This is Eric Schaff. I also have Raphael Barreto from our organization. So if you'd be so kind as to swear him in as
Okay.
well.
Eric, you tricked me. Okay.
All right, I'll swear you both in. Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, you may proceed, gentlemen.
Okay, and John, I believe, was going to be calling in. He is the applicant. Good evening. Thank you very much. It's good to see all of you again. As I said, I'm Eric Schaff, Marathon Engineering. We're here representing John Ferris Sr., who is the property owner of 685 Glide Street, as well as the adjacent building. We are here tonight seeking legalization of a parking lot. This is not the most complicated presentation or site plan we've had to develop and present before you, and it's nice to do a simple one once in a while. We are not seeking any other approvals for this application. The owner simply wants to legalize the long-standing and pre-existing use. The applicant was informed last year the paved lot he's owned for a number of years is not technically a parking lot, as it had never been approved as such by the city. The owner contacted us and engaged us to, quote unquote, do the right thing by legalizing the parking lot. We told him we would probably have to make some improvements. He has agreed to do so. They are in the application, but the highlights, we are fully enclosing the dumpster that is in the corner of the lot. We're installing a new fence to improve the screening of the property and to limit light spill from any vehicles onto the adjacent property to the north. The parking lot will be restriped to more clearly denote, excuse me. It is spring, that means allergies, but I am not complaining because it's finally spring. Pardon me a moment. We are also installing a catch basin at the south portion of the parking lot to prevent runoff from flowing over the sidewalk. So he is making some structural improvements to this parking lot. As far as we can tell, the parking lot's been there for, quote unquote, a number of years. The city property online records show it was constructed in 1990, but it appears to have been used as a parking lot before then. I couldn't get a definitive date. The adjacent building was built circa 1920, and I will go on the record as saying, yes, that is before my time. This approval is separate and distinct from any operations of the particular bar or restaurant that happens to be occupying the adjacent building at the moment. We do understand that later on tonight's agenda, you will be discussing an application from our applicant's tenant. But again, we are separate from that. The purpose here is limited to legally classifying as a parking lot an area of asphalt that cars have been parking on for a number of years. It's looked like a parking lot, functioned like a parking lot, but it wasn't legally known as a parking lot. We respectfully ask that you grant the designation it so rightfully deserves. Let's call it a parking lot. We'd be happy to entertain any questions and provide any additional information, but in the interest of short, sweet, concise, that's it.
All right, thank you, sir. Any questions for the applicant?
I do.
Yes, please.
How many spaces do you have currently striped on that lot?
I believe there are 9 spaces. It's just the striping is somewhat faded, and we're asking the applicant to restripe and make sure everything's up to snuff, as it were.
So, those are those the ones on the north side?
Yes, there's 8 along that fence to the north. In the northwest corner is the dumpster location. Then there's 1 additional parking space by the dumpster.
Okay, because I think I counted three more on the other end. On the northwest side, I thought I counted a total of about either 12 or 13. So
there are some spaces that are currently striped there, sir. They are not to the parking lot space standards of the city. We did not count them.
Okay.
But yes, they appear to be there. When we prepared this plan, we put it to the specifications and requirements of the code. But you're absolutely right. There are a few spaces that were casually striped out and people use them. We're not calling for those to be part of the official count.
Where are those spaces located for my benefit? Where?
At the northwest side.
Oh, so like over here?
Right, like over there, yeah.
Oh, and they like straddle the 2 property lines?
Yeah.
There is a striped out area here.
Yeah, there's a striped out area just north of the building, adjacent to the man door, I believe is what you're talking about.
So when you restripe this, if this were application to be proposed, those would cease to exist. Is that correct?
946.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
If this application were to be approved and you were to restripe this lot, those spaces would cease to exist, correct?
Correct. We are proposing that the applicant stripe the lot as submitted here. There would be the 8 spaces along the fence and the 1 to the left of the dumpster, and those would be the only striped parking spaces. That's the way we presented it to the applicant.
Thank you.
Now, those other spaces, I believe the applicant is texting me, would probably belong to, they may belong to the building line, the property line, if you'll see on our drawing, is a little closer to the building than the applicant thought when we went out and did the boundary survey. So those spaces that are along the building, he says belong to the applicant. So the fact that they encroach onto the parking lot space, it doesn't bother the applicant. We simply didn't show them because, again, we're limiting this application to the parking lot.
And one last question. The fencing that you are installing is next to the adjacent property on the north side.
Correct.
Okay.
As well as a decorative one between the first stall and the street.
Glide Street.
The fence to the north is 4 foot high, not overly obtrusive, but high enough to block headlights. And then the decorative fence along Glide Street is just that, a decorative fence to in front of the parking area.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Richard has one.
Yes, Richard.
Okay, hi. I noticed there is no decorative fence to obscure the parking along Sunset Street. Is that mainly because it's a separate parcel and you're only concerned with that one?
The code requirement is for like a decorative fence in the front yard setback. So this property's front yard is on Glide Street. There is a unique configuration to the adjacent property, 673 Glide, which is a corner street lot. But for the sake of this property and this application, regardless of how these two lots function together, 685 Glide Street only has frontage on Glide Street, to which there is a decorative fence setback requirement.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant? All right, thank you, gentlemen. Anna, was there any testimony that needs to be read?
Not for the parking lot, no.
Okay,
For the alternative parking plan, yes. So if you are tuning in from home this evening, if you're watching the virtual live stream and you submitted comment, all comment pertaining to the Glide Street items will be read immediately as part of the application for case number 7. So all public comment will be read into the record for the Glide Street items at case number 7, which will happen shortly later this evening.
all right, so we will close this case.
Let me ask Anna, so are any of the comments going to be applicable to this item?
They mainly pertain to behavior associated with the use that the proposed public entertainment, that correlates to the proposed public entertainment.
Okay. Thanks.
They are attached to the paper copy of this report, which is currently posted on the website. So with the record, if there were to be ever something to do with the parking lot, we do have copies of both of those attached. But as they, on the whole, correlate to the more business sides of things, we included them with the application submitted by the business owner.
All right, thank you, Anna. So we can close this case and maybe have the next case, please.
Yes, 1 second. Just making sure I have the right staff report this time. So case number 4, file number E232021. The address is 432 Chili Ave. This is a special permit to expand a previously approved charter school, Rochester Prep, from 315 students to 420 students. This is an action requiring City Planning Commission approval.
All right, and who do we have to speak in this case?
Looks like Eric's staying on, and we also have Mr. David Cruzy.
Okay. David and Eric, are you there?
And Betsy Brugg is coming in right now.
Okay. Oh, okay, we'll wait for her to get settled.
Yep, I am here again.
I am as well.
It's up to you if this is for the legalization of the parking lot.
Could we just get people's full names on the record when we do swear them in?
Yes, we can do that.
It's up to you.
Is Betsy ready?
Can you hear me?
Now we can hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I have 3 devices on because nothing seemed to be working. So let me go off this one. Let's see if I can shut this off.
That one we can hear.
Okay, you can hear me now. Okay,
Yes.
great. Thank you.
All right, so we have Betsy and we've got to swear you in.
Yep.
So we have Anna, you have Betsy and two gentlemen.
And
Betsy, David, and Eric.
Yeah,
Okay.
could we have the full names on the record?
And then also, I'm sorry to add to the pandemonium, but all present commissioners have visited the site.
All right, so let me swear you in, and then when you give your response, give us your full name. Is that okay, Tom?
That is great.
Okay, so do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Give us
This
your
is
name.
Betsy Brugg.
Thank you, Betsy.
Eric Schaff, Marathon Engineering. Yes, sir, I do.
Thank you, Eric.
David Cruzy, SRF Associates. Yes, sir.
Thank you, David. All right, you may proceed.
Okay, so now that we've gone through all of that, I am again going to request an adjournment. We were here last month and we requested an adjournment because we were still going back and forth with Monroe County DOT and dealing with the traffic. That process is still ongoing. We got the latest round of comments at I think around 3:30 this afternoon. I don't even know if the Planning Commission has seen those. There is a meeting actually scheduled, I believe, with Monroe County DOT for Thursday morning to continue discussions on the traffic as we work to address their concerns. So this board would not be in a position to deal with seeker tonight. So we are requesting to adjourn to next month to give us additional time to work through this process.
Okay, I do believe that we did receive copies of the DOT, right, Anna?
Yeah, I sent those earlier. I
Yes.
think they came in at like 3, but
Right, yeah, so we did get those.
Okay.
Before I poll the commissioners,
Can I ask something first?
Yes, go ahead, Tom.
Is there anyone that's signed up to speak in?
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah,
no.
okay.
Okay,
All
so,
right, we're good. Good.
commissioners, anyone willing not to have this held over for to the next meeting? All right, hearing none.
Anna, can you just go on the record and announce the hearing date for the next planning
Please.
commission hearing? Right now?
Betsy, is it your intention do you think that, are you requesting to be on the next available agenda?
Yes, I am hopeful at this point that we should be ready to go next month.
Okay, so I can announce that, but Matt, do you want me to wait to announce that until the board is voted?
Yeah, make sure the board is done voting, but if she's requesting for June, let's announce the date
Yes.
tonight as opposed to a hold if we're going to do an adjournment.
Right. All right, so based on what I have heard, we will hold this over until the next month meeting. Anna, what month, what's the date of that next meeting?
Yes, so
And can we just call the, or, have a vote on that by the members?
Okay, we can do that. Anna, I'm going to do that for us.
sure. Commissioner Flower. Thumbs up.
Yep, good to hold. Sorry, I was unmuting.
Oh, and the vacuum starting. Commissioner Harding.
Yes, to hold.
Thank you. Commissioner Marlin.
Yes.
Commissioner Mauser.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Pichardo.
Yes.
Commissioner Watson.
Yes.
And Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Okay, so by a vote of 7-0-0, the commissioners have voted to hold this item at the request of the applicant, and this item will now be heard at the June 16, 2021 hearing. That meeting is also to conduct. It will be a virtual hearing beginning at 6 p.m. So again, that meeting date is June 16th, 2021, a virtual hearing to be held at 6 p.m. here streamed live on the mayor's YouTube channel.
Anna, it's the 16th? It's the 14th?
It's the application deadline. I'm so sorry. Thank you. Please.
No, I just was
Scratch
checking
that.
because I could be looking at the wrong date. Okay, June 14th.
June 14th.
Also, can we redesign these cards when we're done?
Yes.
But just to make it clear, it's June 14 is the next meeting.
That's
Monday,
correct.
June 14th. Monday, June 14th,
That is
2021.
correct. Monday, June 14th, 2021, 6 p.m. The mayor's YouTube channel, a virtual public hearing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Betsy. Thank you, gentlemen. When you get ready, Anna will have the next case, please.
Do you trust me with that after?
Yes, I do. To err is
Yes.
human.
Give me a second, guys. There's a bunch of people for case 5. I'm moving
Yep,
everyone.
not a
around.
problem.
As Matt is bringing in our applicants and their representatives, the case number is 5. The file number is E24-2021. The addresses are 101 Wyand Crescent and 1050 Garson Ave. 1050 Garson Ave is a long crescent-shaped property, and this affects a portion of that. The applicant is Ricardo Cortez of Rochester Gas and Electric. The request is to establish a public utility, an electrical substation for RG&E, an action requiring City Planning Commission approval. I have here that all present commissioners have visited the site.
Okay, and so we'll wait until Matt has every.
Yes.
Everyone is coming in. Last person is coming in right now. So
Yep, not a problem. And how many do we have, Matt?
One, two, three, four, 5, 6 total.
Okay,
These are all applicants? These are all
Correct.
for the applicant?
Correct. Yep. So
And then
what we have everyone do is everyone just introduce themselves with their full name as the applicants.
And we do have one person, ma'am, there's one individual here that's for the public testimony. What we'll do is we'll swear you in separately during the
Yes.
public comment portion. So the project team, you can just start off by stating your full name for the record.
Mary Stubline, Labella Associates.
Megan Yoshida, Labella Associates and RG&E.
Sarah Otero, Project Manager of RG&E.
Stacy Bartle, Public Outreach, RG&E.
is there one more for RG&E or for case 5?
No, I believe that's it.
Okay, so Mary, Meg, and Sarah, and Stacy, I will swear you in. Just respond by saying yes, and just give us your name again. Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Mary Stubline.
Thank you.
Yes, Stacy Bartle.
Thank you, Stacy.
Yes, Megan Yoshida.
Thank you, Meg.
Yes, Sarah Otero.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, you may proceed.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Mary Stubline of Labella Associates. I'm here to represent Rochester Gas and Electric. And I would have introduced all the other team members, but they all introduced themselves. So, Anna, if I could ask you to go to page 53 of the staff report, the city portal image. We are here this evening to present RG&E's proposed Station 43 improvements and to obtain a special permit for the project. Just wanted to note that north is up in this image. RG&E has an existing electrical substation, number 43, located at 101 Wyand Crescent. It also continues into the adjacent right-of-way. Yes, that area next to the green. And this substation was constructed in the 1950s. The station has exceeded peak capacity and is currently overloaded. The station serves 6,467 residential and commercial customers via 2 existing transformers that were installed in 1950 and 1953 and other outdoor equipment at that substation. As you can see from this image, the substation is bordered at the north by a residence. It's bordered at the west and at the south by the city's Farmington Park. And it's bordered at the east by Wyand Crescent, and across the street is School 52. This substation is currently enclosed with chain link fencing with barbed wire outrigger, which does not meet the city's code. Anna, if you could go to page 48, which would be a rendering. In this case, we've changed orientations and north is to the right. So RG&E proposes to redevelop that existing substation that we just saw within the same property. We want to do so by kind of working around the existing equipment so that we can reduce outages or any impact to customers. So the intent overall is to improve service to customers by having more reliable equipment and also to improve the appearance of the site itself. So this will be accomplished by replacing the 2 existing transformers with 2 new transformers, and by replacing the outdoor switchgear with newer switchgear technology that will be located inside of a building. The 2 existing transformers will be located at the northern end of the site where there's currently grass, and these will be surrounded on 3 sides by noise barriers. The gas insulated switchgear will replace the outdated and underperforming equipment that's currently located outside, which will lead to increased reliability. That switchgear will be located inside of a new control house that is proposed as part of this project, which will be located at the southern end of the site, the white building that's shown there. This building will have a brick veneer to better suit the residential character of this neighborhood. Anna, if you could go to page 39. Sorry for all the bouncing around. It's just easier to see some of these from the different renderings. There is a cell tower located in the southwestern portion of the site, which is kind of in the upper middle of the screen currently. That will remain untouched. That's land that's leased to a cell company. And this area has a separate internal fence that separates it from the substation. So speaking of the fence, as I previously mentioned, the existing fence does not meet the current city code. We propose to replace the existing fence in the same location, though with very different materials. The current access for the site is from the southern end, from the Farmington Park parking lot, and that will now be moved to the eastern line along Wyan Crescent. You can see the gate that is there kind of in the middle of that property line. At the north, we'll be installing an 8-foot tall non-conductive fence with a 1-foot outrigger, so essentially a 9-foot tall non-conductive fence. On the south side, it will be a 9-foot tall decorative metal fence. A portion of this fence is also made solid with slats in order to provide additional screening. On the east, there will be a 9-foot tall decorative metal fence along the road frontage. And on the west will be a 15-foot tall non-conductive fence with mesh inserts, which was requested by the park users and staff, again, a portion of which will be solid around the leased cell property. Would also note that there will be, we propose an interior animal fence that helps to prevent any critters from accessing the transformers and interrupting power. That would be located inside with, well, adjacent to the transformer enclosures, which we'll see from another view in a minute. We appealed for an electrified fence within the interior of the substation, and that was granted in February. Anna, if you could go to page 41. Okay, it just gives you a better idea of what that decorative metal fence looks like along the eastern property line, and then a view of the transformers with their noise barrier walls and that interior animal fence that I was just mentioning. You can also see in the background that 15-foot tall fence that would be used along the Farmington Park side so that any errant baseballs will not get into the substation. If we could go to the next rendering page, page 42. Here's another view looking from the south at that new control house and the fence along the southern side. You can also see from this view a pretty good example of what the landscaping is proposed to look like along the eastern side, the frontage of the property. There is existing landscaping along the along the street frontage. However, it's not in great condition. As part of this project, we propose to replace that existing vegetation with 32 arborvitae, deer-resistant arborvitae that would be located along that fence line. We had also proposed vegetation replacement along the northern fence line. However, the resident to the north had requested that that be removed from the plan at this time. We'll revisit that during construction, before construction is wrapped up, just to ensure that the resident still feels that way about it. So we're here tonight to ask for a special permit because we are a public utility in a residential zoning district. We are an existing utility, existing electrical substation within this residential district now. So therefore the use of the site will not change moving forward. It will remain a substation that provides after improvements, more reliable power to the surrounding area. The site will be visually improved by this new fence, the new landscaping, and the new transformers, and by putting the majority of the existing equipment within, or not existing, majority of the new equipment within the control house building. We know that there are several variances that we're going to need to request from the Zoning Board of Appeals for code requirements that we can't meet, including yard setbacks and also related to building design, considering this is a public utility with requirements that are dictated by the National Electrical Safety Code, but we're located in a residential zone, so there's a bit of a conflict between these requirements. RG&E is committed to design with the community in mind. To that end, we worked with the neighbors, the North Winton Village Association, and the applicable city departments during our site plan review with this, and we modified the proposed improvements to reflect the input that was received during that process. We have received notes of support from the Department of Recreation and Human Services, as well as the Southeast Neighborhood Service Center. So that wraps up my formal presentation, and we look forward to any of your questions.
Great, thank you so much. Appreciate that. At this time, any questions for the applicant? Yes, go. Richard?
Thank you. The transformer enclosures are how tall and what are they made of?
Those are made of concrete masonry units. I do not have the height right off the top of my head. Meg?
I believe they're 20 feet tall.
There was effort made to make the building look good for the neighborhood. And something 20-foot tall is going to kind of stand out. Was there no concern about having that also looking good? I mean, if not in brick, then in a kind of concrete block that simulates brick, where you could, you know, it could be painted or whatever. Or is it going to be left raw, as raw concrete block? Is it?
I believe that the current intent is for it to be the raw concrete block. Meg, I know you have some additional information on this.
Yeah, what's proposed right now, at least for the transformer noise barriers, is just plain concrete block. We understand it's in a residential area, but I believe in working with the city, there was some discussion if that was going to be a wall or a structure. Tom Kisior can speak to that, I know a bit more, but my understanding was, after working with him for the site plan review, that those were adequate as is. If there are, you know, other requirements at this stage of the game, we can revisit them with the team. And I unfortunately can't speak to the engineering aspects. I know concrete blocks are required for the transformer, not only for efficient noise cancellation, because we're so close to that resident to the north, we wanted to be as aware as possible to those needs, although these transformers are newer and quieter than the current ones, so that's an upgrade. But I can't speak to the difference in noise cancellation with brick, if that's even a possibility. from an engineering standpoint versus concrete.
No, I'm
But
not looking
if
at it in
need
terms
be, I
of,
can bring it back to the engineering team and let you know.
okay, no, I'm not raising a question in terms of noise cancellation. I'm sure, you know, a masonry period will do it. But I mean, that neighbor's, you know, gonna have how long is that wall? 20 foot tall by how wide? Of a solid concrete block, you know, monotonous looking concrete block.
So I think it's off the top of my head, 60 something feet, I believe. So originally we had proposed, like Mary stated, proposed some vegetation along that north side as well to help buffer from the household. And again, that will be revisited now that we're getting a little further along in the review. We will revisit that with construction with the resident, during construction with the resident. If there's, you know, something above and beyond, I can bring it back to the team.
So that landscaping.
Can I ask why there's a consultation with the resident? Are you proposing to construct something on the resident's lot, or?
I can speak to that. Again, my role in this project is to be the liaison between our project team and our external stakeholders, i.e. the public. So in conversations, strictly as a courtesy, we contact any stakeholders that have the potential to be impacted by any of our construction. And again, as a courtesy, we entered into a conversation with the landowner to make sure that she was aware of the plans and the scope of work. It was her wish to have the current vegetation removed and nothing replaced, because she says that there's a lot of rodents and nuisance and dogs relieving themselves on the area, and a lot of, like I said, rodents and pests in the underbrush. And so at this time, she has requested that we remove the vegetation and we do not replace it. As the team has indicated, we'll circle back with her as the project moves forward to make sure she still is, you know, of that same mindset.
So if I can continue,
Yes, Richard.
Was it brought up with her that a landscape screen would be on the outside of your property, on her property, or would it be within your property inside the fence?
My understanding, it can't be on the inside of the fence due to code. It would have to be on the outside of the fence. And for that reason, she doesn't want it in her yard or touching her house or her roof line.
But it's not on her property, right? It's adjacent to her property?
It would be planted on RG&E's property if there were landscaping. Yep.
Well,
but it's very, very close to her property. Extremely
Yeah,
close.
I think there is only like 2 feet from the fence line to the property line or so. So the trees will be in the line.
Mary, do you recommend, is there a drawing that would kind of demonstrate this at all?
Well, I guess the rendering where we could see that would be page 40.
Okay. So impressed by your memorization of the page numbers. So, sorry. You guys can proceed with your conversation. I just, for our visual people out there.
I'm just kind of curious with the, you know, I mean, it's obviously now very visible as you drive down the street and you look beyond the front of that house, you see the, you know, the wall there. And is there, you know, no concern about wrapping that arborvitae screen around the corner by setting the fence further back in there at that corner? You know, further away from the side yard at the north end. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Sure. I believe that due to clearances that are required inside the substation, that we can't move that fence line. It is as far north as it is in order to accommodate the design of the substation itself.
Because it looks to me like your yard there gets wider and wider and farther away from the transformers at that point. So I'm just asking because it looks like you do have the opportunity to be able to do that and still have plenty of buffer between your equipment and that residence there. But and to continue on with the planting, is there any, since the plantings that are there look like they've been kind of neglected, which is, why they maybe are dying. Is there any other approach that's being taken other than just planting, but is there any kind of maintenance thing that goes on with RG&E for making sure that the plants thrive?
As of right now, the vegetation that looks so hideous are the junipers. And those we are not proposing at all. We're going with a more sort of lower maintenance arborvitae. But as far as long-term and maintenance, there is not a plan right now for maintaining the plantings once they have been planted and established beyond that.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
I guess I have to say something just for the record. I fully agree with all the comments made by Richard, and I believe that there is a missed opportunity here if we don't explore how to make that wall or that enclosure a little more suitable, or I'll say inclusive with the design of the proposed building. If we don't do it now, then when are we going to do it? And I understand that maybe that everything have been designed to code, but for a company like RG&E that is here to serve the public, I think, my opinion, we could do better than a concrete 16 feet concrete block and just leave it as is. So I share his opinion that I think there should be a little more research and a little bit of more of an exercise of how to include that wall as part of the overall design.
Can the applicant speak to any, like, the waiver here is for the height. Can you explain why this height is needed, why this waiver is being requested, the reasoning behind the height request?
Well, it's a way to screen the two. I mean, in this station, we can see like almost what the 90% of the equipment is indoor instead of how the substation is right now, that you can see a big steel structure open and with all the equipment outside. With this new design, it's almost all enclosed. All will be inside of the control house GIS building, and only the two transformers, because are big and the space constraint that we have in this property, the option that we find is to enclose it, enclose the equipment with these 3 walls, and also provide a barrier for noise and additional protection on the substation. So that was our intention. It's not possible to make it completely enclosed because of the space of the property, and the equipment also, it works well outdoor. So that was the design, and just emphasizing on all the meetings that we made with the neighbors and all the improvements that we made since the first proposal. We took a lot of care on the appearance of this substation and adding additional landscaping, like the change of the fence. We made that change as well. We include the brick on the control house building. We proposed to the city of Rochester also to improve the pavement on the parking at the south side of the substation. And the last update was that the park or the city of Rochester required us also to remove an exterior fence that is in the west side of the park that is in bad conditions with a lot of died vegetation in the west side. So let's say that we are trying to do our best on this location. Of course, we need to consider the cost of the project. I mean, we had increased the cost of the project because of all of this, like the fence, the brick, the payment, and removing an exterior fence that is not from Argeny. And just that, I mean, considering that doing any additional exterior on that wall, it's very expensive, and we need to be also responsible about the substation cost, no? Because in the end, that cost impact on the customer. So you don't want to increase the cost without.
You've explored alternative measures to put on the brick or the concrete on the concrete facade wall.
It was more so the neighbors were more concerned about the other things. You know, I think like for the neighbors, it's more impact to remove a exterior fence that is old and with all vegetation in the park than how will look that wall. We thought about other options, about painting the wall, but again, I mean, if we paint the wall, also need maintenance, you know, maintenance plan, adding cost. So in the substation, we are trying to find durable options, you know, with the less maintenance possible.
To elaborate on Sarah's point, when we met with the homeowners in the area, their main concerns were the fence and the facade of the control house. They had some minor questions about the type of vegetation that we would be replacing it with. They were pleased that it would be a hardier species than what is there now. But basically, their main concern was that it fit in with the neighborhood and it was in the same the same appearance as the fence with the adjacent school. And then they also had safety concerns for the Little League fence and the abutting park there. And as Sarah said, we worked with them, we collaborated with them, and we changed the design quite a bit so that we could fulfill their requests. No one, at least not that, you know, this is not a valid concern of yours by any means, but just giving you the feedback from the residents, they did not seem overly concerned with the wall.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Yeah, I want to know how that response to the commissioners that posed kind of concern about the height and the kind of the material type. How does that response bode with you?
Well, I'm not satisfied with it myself. Number one, I'm looking at your section through the building, and I'm wondering, you know, I'm thinking that it looks like 16 feet. It looks like you could knock off 4 feet off the top of that, and still have the transformers would be below, you know, any line of sight, and would prevent a direct transfer of noise. So one question is, why are the walls so much taller than the transformers? Because again, it looks like you could take it down, you know, 4 feet and you'd still be maybe 2 feet above the transformer. Secondly, there are, you know, in the world of concrete blocks, you know, there's all sorts of types. There's smooth face, split faced, etc. And you know, you could have one of your architects at La Bella, you know, work up a facade there to give it some rhythm or something, so it's not just one huge bomber there. And you know, it shouldn't cost a whole lot more, if at all, to be able to do that. You know, and then it would be a question of do you get it in a beige block versus a gray block? But I mean, you know, I mean, and you know, and and I'm kind of wondering whether the owners, you know, oh, that's a wall, fine. Did they really understand, you know, that wall, that, you know, how big that is, how imposing that, that's a building. You know, that's really from that neighbor's house, that's a 20-foot tall building with no windows or anything. And I don't know if people really register that, whether, you know, it just, oh, it's a wall. Well, you know, and they don't really gather, you know, comprehend what it, but they probably will once it's built.
Yeah.
It's more imposing than the house, than the, I'm sorry, than the switch building.
I won't necessarily try to design the wall or the enclosure right here, because I'm sure the requirements that I may not be aware for a substation. But I do have to say that it could be better. It could certainly be better, and I'm not going to say it's have to be higher or lower. It's just it could be designed in a better way.
Yeah.
And I do agree in the sense of that it could be nothing against the neighbors. There may be a disconnect of they may not see the scale of these enclosures. So that's all I have to say to respond to their response.
Understood. Just to clarify, looking at a different option of varying facades of the concrete, just so it's not one plain line, but you know, maybe one block that's plain and one that's got some texture to it, just so it doesn't look like one big obtrusive 60-foot long, 20-foot tall concrete block. That's what you're looking for.
Well, I'm just thinking that, you know, you've got architects on staff there that could probably do something with it, you know.
Okay, varying texture.
Well, I mean, you know, hey, you know, in the Renaissance, Julia Romano made walls that were solid stone, and yet they weren't, you know, they were bigger than that, but they were interesting.
Okay.
You know, I don't think it needs to be anybody's opus, but I think, you know, it could be better. You could do better.
Understood. We will take that back to the team. And I do believe that the height is the height requirement based on the size of the transformer and a whole bunch of engineering specs behind it. But I will at least bring that question and concern back to the team to see if there's any potential to decrease the height of those walls. But again,
the height or the shape of the walls, I don't think can be modified. I mean, we will check with engineers, but the size is according to the transformer manufacturer, and also I mean, by the NERC, I mean, we cannot install around the transformer all type of materials, you know, need to be a material that protects from fire, that, you know, gives some characteristics like, and because of the same reason, we cannot install trees inside of the substation. So just consider that, I mean, something decorative for the wall, I mean, will be painting the wall a good option?
Well, I think the fence is a good, no graffiti artists are going to paint it, that's for sure, with that fence enclosure, so, which is good. But I you know, I kind of, I mean, I've seen plenty of walls, concrete block walls around the city that because they're using different texture block here, they make a design out of it, and it's not, it doesn't have to be over the top, but you know, that's a big blank wall.
So Ms. Otero asked about painting the walls.
I think that could be I'm sure Labella's architects could get into telling you, if you put a solid, you know, paint on it, you're liable to get that paint popping off over time because of the exposure you have on both sides of the wall. So without getting all into it, you know, it might be better off if it's not, if it just has, you know, whatever, a sealer, clear sealer on it or something, rather than paint, because paint will probably start popping off a bit.
That's the thing, yeah.
How do the other commissioners feel about some sort of wall improvement?
Yeah, I guess from my vantage point, I would agree with Richard and with Ricardo that I think it makes some sense. That's a big structure. I mean, that 20-foot high is almost as tall as the house. And again, people who, who've already come forward and ask about the fencing, they have their issues because of where they are and what they do with the park. But again, for people who are driving down the street, coming upon a house, then seeing this massive structure, if it's architecturally different and has some different shapes and movement, as opposed to just a straight solid wall, to me makes a lot of sense. And I would love to see the architect, the engineers come together and give us a better option than this. I would be willing to take a look at that, for approval. And again, it's not about the cost for me. I'm sure it is maybe for you, but again, I think for the benefit that you get from it, having being a pleasant looking facility is worth all the goodwill that you can get.
We agree. A question for the applicant before we leave. I noticed that you guys also work on Station 262. Why the Substation 262? And I see the difference between both design. And I'm a little curious as of why not that attention to detail at Station 262.
So some of your question has to do with the infrastructure itself. Station 262 on Mount Hope was a brand new parcel, a brand new station with all new equipment that you can build from the ground up. So in going through the approvals, and Mary was part of it, so she could probably speak to the specifics more, but a lot of the feedback was able to be incorporated into the design a little bit easier. For Station 43, we had a lot of constraints with not only the size of the parcel being what it is, but keeping the current station as is to feed the customers while we build the new station around it. And although everybody is looking at the station and the control house that's above ground and the transformers that are above ground, there is so much going on underground as far as conduits and manholes and electric infrastructure that we don't see from, the common folks that go into the station or as you drive by, that limits what we are able to do with an existing station. So we tried to put a lot of effort into it with the community, with the city, as we went through the site plan approval. We started with chain link and barbed wire, and then changed that fencing to non-conductive, and then changed it again to the nice black metal. The only reason that western side fence is high is only because of the baseball field. The fence Sarah was referring to on the west side, it's a weird double fence. No one knows why it's there. We are removing that on the city property so the park gains some space. So we really are trying to put forth our best effort while still being cognizant of ratepayers at the end of the day. We can't 100% compare Station 43 and its infrastructure to Station 262 because they are very, very different stations in of how they are built, the type of equipment that is needed. There's no possible way to do an interior station at Station 43. So we are a little more limited with what we are able to choose from as far as options. We are able to make the control house look a little better with that brick facade, at least, but we will definitely take the different texture of the concrete block wall back to the team and come back to the city with that. So
do folks have any questions about waivers other than with regard to the concrete enclosure?
No, I don't.
Well,
I don't.
No, I guess I still want to I still have a question about that northeast corner of a lot and whether the arborvitae could be carried around there by setting the fence back. It just seems like there's a lot of, I find it hard to believe that all that interior to the yard there is required because it slopes away from the transformers. It's, you know, the setback keeps getting larger towards the street there. So I'm just thinking that possibly that could be screened there too.
The thing is, there is a lot of conduits between the wall and the fence.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, so what I was going to suggest is that I think the applicant has heard comments that we had. I'm sorry, go ahead, Anna.
yeah, I'm actually I'm trying to review quickly what other code waivers they're asking, and there is a request from the manager of zoning. She requests feedback from the CPC regarding the landscaping proposal. So I think we just heard from Richard about exploring if it can be continued in that specified section.
And I think that's also part of what I think we heard in testimony, that the neighbors didn't want it to wrap all the way around that one side.
Right, but not all the way.
I understand, you know, but maybe to the front of the house.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So again, I think we could add that, you know, to our decision. If that's what you're asking about, Anna.
Say again, Kim?
Go ahead, Kim.
Sorry.
No problem.
We also have a public commenter on this one.
We do, and it actually happens to be the house in question.
Yeah, you know, so hopefully, you know, we'll hear from her very shortly. But again, I think for the record, you know, we want to make sure that I was going to let the applicants know is that obviously we have to vote on this, but just be aware that we may want to have you relook that facade and the height of that unit, if that could be reduced, as well as a different type of facade other than straight concrete blocks to make it a more visually appealing facility, even though people haven't asked about it. We're asking about it because that's something that we are concerned about, you know, as the commission. And I think to take that into our deliberation to give you adequate time to be able to do that. So hopefully we will vote and let you know what we feel. And we'll go from there.
Ms. Otero, I believe you alluded that the height was kind of maybe set in stone with the requirements. If you could just like confirm that fact.
Yeah, no, if it's 20 feet, they have to have it for purposes of the machinery. We understand that. But again, we're looking at, I think, not only the height, but the facade, what it looks like, if it could be built differently with the same material, but to make it look different and more appealing. All right. So what
I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves.
Yep,
We're almost getting to the decision. We
I
got
understand.
public comment and
Yeah,
I
so-
also just want to make sure that other commissioners, if they have any questions about the application, that they
Yeah, they have the
answer
opportunity.
too.
I was going to get to that. So again, anybody else have any questions or concerns for the applicant? Okay, so we'll do.
We can't hear you. I think you're.
Oh, no, I'm on. So nobody else.
Makiba's talking.
Oh,
but
Makiba? You're muted.
Can't hear you.
Still can't hear you.
You might want to plug in your headphones and then change the headphone setting. Try, I think, okay. All right, she's giving us the wave.
Give us the go on.
Well, let's try.
Markiba, do you have your earbuds with you? It's when you like go in and out of having them that it gets wonky. But I'm glad you can hear us.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Ah, good. Okay, so my quick question, I guess, was for the 20-foot structure or 20, once it's in place, is there any way to, once it's set up, it's just set up? There's no other way of coming back and making it more aesthetically pleasing later on. That's correct? So once we all decide and say yes, there's no coming back from that particular height of the structure, I guess my question.
That's correct.
Okay.
You're muted, David.
I'm sorry. Any other questions for the applicant? All right, so what we'll do, we will have testimony from, I believe it's Ms. Simmons, Ms. Smith. And it is Cynthia Smith?
Yes.
Yes, what I'll do, I will swear you in, and then I will allow you to provide us with your testimony. And just, once I give you the testimony, just give us your full name and whether you agree or not.
And
Do
Ms.
you-
Smith, oh, I'm so sorry. Ms. Smith, there is a time limit on public testimony. It's public comments limited to 3 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Ms. Smith? Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here now.
Okay. Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yeah.
Okay, and give us your full name.
Cynthia Smith.
And you may proceed, ma'am, with your testimony.
Well, I'm glad that I have this committee because a lot of you guys have touched on my feelings about the project that they're doing next door.
Mm-hmm.
The wall it's a sore spot for me because a brick wall, I have no side, I can't see on that side of the house. It's like it's just blank, we just blink. And I'm for the fence because they have a fence up there anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at some of the drawings that they showed, there are trees, but they're on my side and not my side of
Okay, Ms. Smith, you're cutting out. We can't hear you.
Okay. Well, what I'm trying to
There you go.
say is I agree with a lot of the comments that the committee have made. It's like the wall is going to be so tall that I won't be able to, it's like I won't be able to see on that side at all to my house. And I've been here for 50.
Are you there?
It's frozen.
Are you
I
there,
think
Miss?
they can come
Okay.
with a better idea.
Did you say come back with a better idea?
I think that they should come back with a better idea because I'm not happy with it. I don't like the tall fence, the tall brick. The brick is going to block me out, period. So,
Right, anything else, Ms. Smith?
no.
Ms. Smith, you broke up when you were talking about where the vegetation would be. Is it that you would be opposed to having it outside of the fence, or?
I don't want the trees on my side of the fence. Looking at some of the drawings, they have the trees on my side, like they put it on my side. The foliage.
I'm going to interrupt with a recommendation. I'm going to turn off your video, Ms. Smith, because I think if we do that, then your audio will come in better. So if you don't mind, we're going to stop your video just so your voice is, the voice quality is improved. But we'll still be able to hear you.
Okay.
Okay, you can proceed.
I'm not happy with the tall fence that they're gonna put up, with the brick wall.
Okay.
It's too tall and it'll block out everything. I won't get any sunlight on that side of the house. I'm for the fence, because we have one there already.
Do you have what you need, Tom?
Yeah, I was just trying to make sure she got to say her full say without being cut off by the electric. Yeah, technology.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Smith.
You're welcome.
For your testimony, and thank you. And before we close the case, I have a quick question for the applicant. Was there any consideration in turning those two new units that will back into the athletic field? So you take them where they are, you turn them 90 degrees and push them further west.
There are existing transmission lines along the west side of the property, and we have to have setbacks from the transformer equipment itself to the transmission lines. And as far as, if I understand your question correctly, not only shifting them west, but turning them?
Yes.
Is that what, so they go north, south instead of east, west?
Yeah, so the open ends of those would face the street.
Wood Street. I don't believe there is enough room with the current footprint of the station. Right now, we're very tight as far as the control house on the south side versus the transformers on the north. And we did at one point in the very beginning look to switch it with the control house on the north side, but that's even taller and would be even more of a, nuisance menace for Ms. Smith than the transformer wall. So we did try to look at that, but I do not think there is enough space. I'll again double check with the engineers. I got my homework, so I'll let you know.
All right. Before we close, any other questions for the commission to the applicant? All right. We'd like to thank you all for your presentation and for your responses. And we will close this case and we will have the next case. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners.
The next case is case number 6. The file number is E25-2021. The address is 235 North Wayne Road. The request is to consider a parking demand analysis for 7 spaces, which is in excess of 110% of the parking requirement for a proposed medical office, drive-through restaurant, and office retail building being created as part of a mixed-use redevelopment project. This is an action requiring City Planning Commission approval. I have here that all present commissioners have visited the site.
And who do we have presenting this evening?
Miss Betsy Brugg.
I am back.
Okay, is she the only one?
No, it appears we also have Evan Gaffel of Costitch Engineering.
Okay. And is he on board yet?
And David Cruzy should also be on.
Oh, I might have demoted him accidentally.
He happens to have been here for the other one as well, and he worked on this, so I think he's staying on.
There we go. David's back.
David's back. We have David, Betsy, and
Evan.
Yeah. Evan. Okay. If you're all there, let me swear you in. Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, it is, and that's Betsy Brugg.
Thank you.
Yes, it is. David Cruzy.
Thank you, David.
I do. Evan Gaffel.
Thank you, Evan. All right, you may proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Watson. So we're really pleased to be here tonight. We have been working on a redevelopment project for the assemblage of property at Winton and Blossom. I believe you were chairman of the board at the time of the last project that was approved, which was several years ago. So we're really excited to have this project to present here tonight. We are here in connection with a special use permit for the amount of parking, but I'll go through and kind of describe the overall project so you can get the context of our application. So the property is in the C1 district. It's 1.66 acres in size. The proposal is for a two-phase development that will include a 2,000 approximately square foot Starbucks with a drive-through on the Blossom Road frontage, and two buildings built right up on the street on Winton Road, one of which is an urgent care at a little over 4,100 square feet, and then a two-story mixed-use retail office building, which is for phase two, approximately 15,000 square feet in total. We don't have tenants yet for that building, but anticipate it could be, you know, some type of office uses, some retail, restaurant, we're not really sure. And as I said, this was a 6-parcel assemblage that basically sits vacant because there was an Aldi project approved back in 2016 that for a variety of reasons did not go forward. And the property has been sitting vacant since then, while the property owner has been trying to put together a, you know, good quality project. So the project has been reviewed by staff. We've spent several months going through the site plan review process. We've had it reviewed by the PRC, which has really commented, and all of their comments have been incorporated in the project. And from the start of this project, for those that don't know, the Aldi project ended after some litigation. There was disagreement in the neighborhood associations. And you know, the current project really reflects the effort to go to the neighborhood from day one. So both the North Winton Village Association and the Browncroft Association have been involved from the beginning. Their comments and feedback have been incorporated in the project. So a tremendous amount of input from a variety of, you know, city staff, committees, project review committee, neighbors, all those folks have contributed to really arriving at the project that you have in front of you tonight. Let's see. So the project has access. If you looked at the site plan, the site plan shows 2 access points, one on Winton and one on Blossom. And all of the parking is really concealed behind the buildings on Winton Road, really to create that engaging urban streetscape. The buildings on Winton Road have pedestrian access both on Winton Road and from the parking. And every effort has been made to really provide really quality design for the buildings, for the landscaping, to create that engagement with the public way. There's bicycle racks included. There's pedestrian connectivity throughout the site. If you look at the Starbucks drive-through, it has been designed to avoid conflict between pedestrians and vehicles. And the drive-through has been pushed all the way to the west of the site, so that it is, you know, adjacent to the industrial larger uses on Blossom and does not impact the view on North Winton. So the parking that we have here, we're here tonight really because of the amount of parking, not the layout of the parking. We are requesting a special use permit to allow 7 spaces over the maximum that would be allowed by code for the project that's proposed. We really do need that additional parking. It's actually less parking in total than what would be recommended under the Institute of Traffic Engineers kind of formulation of recommended parking. But the tenants and the developer are comfortable with this amount of parking. You know, they need to have enough parking so that they can attract good quality tenants, you know, potentially employers, you know, people who need to park cars in the mixed use building. Starbucks is obviously a draw, and it's a use that needs parking. It brings people into the neighborhood. And the urgent care, while also requiring parking, you know, the mix of the uses will allow kind of shared parking with different peak times and different parking needs. So we're comfortable with the amount of parking, but the developer does have to provide some minimum parking required by both the urgent care, well now urgent care, and Starbucks for them to participate in the project. You'll notice the parking configuration, the driveway configuration on Blossom Road. We had to tinker with that not too long ago in order to meet some requirements for safety and to address comments from Monroe County DOT. So they have been satisfied with the way the traffic has been addressed. Let's see. I think I've covered all the basics. As far as the, well, I think I've got one of our neighbors calling me. I'll have to call her back. So the, sorry about that. Okay. How many devices does a person have at a meeting? Okay.
We also have,
I gotta like throw it under the table here for a second.
I believe that neighbor also is signed up to provide public testimony.
Okay, great. So we have support from the neighborhood. I do know there have been some neighbor comments that you did receive. I don't think there's anything in the comments that's novel or that hasn't been addressed through the site plan review process. Things like the uses are permitted uses. There's strong neighborhood uses that will really help support and create kind of, this is a very prominent intersection in the neighborhood. It's a commercial intersection. Having good quality tenants only helps strengthen the neighborhood. We do recognize it does bring visitors to the site and people to stay in the neighborhood, but that's all the more reason that we need to have the parking on site. The difference of 7 parking spaces, it's important to the project. At the same time, all the parking is really concealed from view. So the few additional parking spaces aren't really going to affect, it's not going to have any impact on the character of the neighborhood. We do have a couple stray spaces on Blossom Road. We're opposite a large parking lot on that side on Blossom Road. I think that is totally consistent with the character of Blossom Road, doesn't impact North Winton Road. The other thing to note is we don't have any street parking in front of the site on our side of the street. We certainly don't want to have any overflow parking that impacts the needs of any of the other businesses in the neighborhood. So I think all in all, this is really the best possible site plan. And as I said, it's been vetted by the staff. It's been, seen by Monroe County DOT. The neighbors have seen it. And I think that, we feel like we've got a great project. We've addressed the special permit standards in writing. They're in the application. I'd be happy to go through them, but I did address them all in writing. I think that we do meet them. If you would excuse me for a minute here. We did provide a parking demand analysis, which I don't know if you have any questions about it. We'd be happy to answer any questions. What you'll see is that, we're comfortable with the amount of parking that we're providing. It's a little more than code would allow, but certainly less than ITE. If you would bear with me for a moment. Hello? Mary? Well, I believe, one of our neighbors, I think she signed up to speak, is also calling me. The days of technology, I don't know what to say about it. So as I said, I think we've addressed the special permit standards. As the board knows, the special permit in and of itself it's not a variance. A special permit carries a favorable legal presumption of being permitted and carries a relatively low burden of proof. Special permit uses are they're tantamount to being uses that are in harmony with the zoning district. So I think that we feel really good about this application. Our team is here. We're happy to answer any questions or provide you with any additional information that might help you in making your decision tonight.
Great, thank you, Betsy. At this time, any questions for the applicant? Any questions for the applicant?
Oh,
I'll do one. Just out of curiosity.
Yes, Richard.
Out of curiosity, what is the ITE recommendation for parking?
I believe it's 83. It's in the parking demand analysis. We have it at 83 spaces.
Okay. Any other questions?
76.
No, it's 83. Yeah.
83?
Yeah.
So,
any other questions?
I'll just point out, I don't know if you can see the chat, but Marilyn Schutte and Mary Coffey want to speak, but they're saying they have a problem with unmuting.
No, they don't. It's okay. They'll be.
Okay. Okay.
Any other questions for the applicant? I guess before I turn it over, Betsy, on the site plan that's on the screen right now. Whoops.
Sorry.
Yeah. Is that the total number that you're requesting? Including the
yes.
7?
Yep,
Okay, I just want to make sure that
I
was
believe that is
represented.
that is our current site plan.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, so that's accurate. That's what you're asking for.
Correct.
Super. All right. Any other questions for the applicant? Hearing none. Thank you all.
Thank you.
And now we have, I think, speaker, Anna.
Yep.
And who do we have?
We have Marilyn Schutte.
Marilyn, are you there?
I'll ask to unmute.
Oh, okay.
Maybe she can't find the button.
Oh, okay.
Marilyn, on your screen, there's going to be a button that, there you go.
Okay, we just wrote on, did you get us?
Yes,
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, you can, yay!
Yay!
Oh, yay, we did it! And it's only because we have a technological person here.
Okay.
Oh, my
Well,
goodness.
Marilyn, will it be you or anyone else speaking, or just you?
Well, yeah, Mary and I had permission, earlier today to be able to speak. But
Okay,
we've got the other board, we got a number of board members here, and we seriously do want this project to go.
Okay, hold on a
We
second,
have to
Mary.
swear you in
Mary?
first, Mary and Marilyn.
Where is it?
Also,
Put your hand up.
Everybody put your hand up.
Ryan, put your hand up, everybody. Put your hand up.
Mary, this is,
Right hand up.
I'm so glad you're here.
Oh, Brian.
Right, you're on the right. Okay.
okay, Mary, so I was, Mary,
Everybody.
Yeah.
Mary, will you be speaking in behalf of the organization?
Yeah, both of us.
Okay, Mary and
Marilyn.
yes, I will swear you two in. I will swear you in, then you give us your response and give us your name for the record, and then I will allow you to continue, okay?
Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you are about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
And give us your name.
Go ahead, give your name, Mary.
Mary Coffey.
Thank you.
Marilyn Schutte.
Thank you, Marilyn. And you may proceed with your testimony.
Should I start?
Yeah, you can
Mary
go.
Coffey.
Thank you, Mary.
We're here. We've gone through many years on this development here. And we've gone on many ups and downs. And we are where we are now. And North Winton Village, we support our businesses, and we think good quarters mean good businesses. And we're very fortunate that we now have more development coming into North Winton Village. We can also thank all those at City Hall and our RPD that helped make North Winton Village what it is today. So we would like to support this. We understand that there's some parking, but it is behind the buildings and that. And we do not think, and we're pretty tough on how we like things to look. And they have worked with us. And I would like to say that North Winton Village, Mary Coffey, supports this development. Thank you.
And I would like to say, we were very pleased with the cooperation that we had working with the city, because we had, the Zoom meetings, we wrote the letters. We were very impressed that the Zoom meeting that we participated in, that is Mary and I with the committee, I was very impressed because they brought up all the issues that North Winton Village is concerned about. The design of the building to match Mayors across the street. We wanted doors leading into the building from the sidewalk. We wanted a brick facade. I mean, this goes on to all of the, and we were very concerned about the roof line of the building to match our early 1900s architecture. And the thing about this parking is these extra these extra parking spaces are there. It's that nothing is being altered or changed or anything being taken down that would have any effect on this. I mean, you've got the parking there and it's behind the building. So there is no reason not to grant this request. We have no hard feelings about this whatsoever. And we have given our all to trying to get this developed. And we're very pleased with the city and their ideas. We kind of really did jive together, what the neighborhood could see with this property and the city. And the developer, of course.
And the whole board, we have a great
And here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other board members sitting right here in the meeting. Now, if we were a little more sophisticated, we could do a little video and show you everybody sitting around here. But our tech person moved over to another chair.
And we thank you for
Thank you
for working with us all these years and all our development.
Because you know all the times we've been down with all our other buildings.
You've been there almost as long as us, I think.
Well, we've been around for 25 years on this neighborhood coming down there. Thank you so much.
All right, you're quite welcome. Thank you, ladies, for your testimony.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Anna, anyone else that we have or comments?
Yeah, would you allow any of the other board members to comment?
Nope.
No. That's it. Okay, we're done.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Marilyn.
Thanks, Marilyn. Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye. Anna, anyone else?
No verbal testimony, but I'll read the comments that were received after the staff report into the record.
Thank you.
So this is from John Wiltsey. Thank you for the opportunity to comment on the proposed development of these parcels in my neighborhood. I understand that the proposed development includes a Starbucks with drive-through and commercial building with urgent care as seen on this site. I am opposed to this project as proposed. Specifically, a high volume drive-through like Starbucks is going to exacerbate the already bad traffic flow through this intersection, particularly up and down Winton Road, looking at the traffic associated with Dunkin' Donuts drive-through a few blocks away on East Ave is a good indication of what would happen at Winton and Blossom. Dunkin' traffic is backed up onto East Ave routinely. This will also make the area less walkable and bikeable. I do not think another coffee shop is a great addition to the area, but without the drive. I do think another coffee shop is a great addition to the area, but without the drive-through. The architectural design of the commercial building picture on the website above is totally inconsistent with the detrimental to the urban village nature of this site. Previous proposals for mixed-use housing and ground floor commercial were much more consistent with the surrounding buildings, in particular the Mayor Hardware building across Winton Road. This project might be appropriate on Jefferson Road and Henrietta or Eastridge Road in Arundecoit, but not here. Thank you for considering my feedback on this proposal. The next is from Mark Magrin. I am a homeowner and resident of a neighborhood just adjacent to North Winton Village. I'm writing to express my concern about the traffic impacts created by the proposed Winton Blossom Partners project at the intersection of North Winton and Blossom Roads. I would like to know if the city has prepared traffic and environmental impact studies. If so, are the studies available to the public to review prior to the approval of this project? If not, I would like to request the traffic and environmental impact studies. This particular intersection is already quite busy with vehicular traffic, which makes it treacherous to pedestrians and cyclists. The current usage of the adjacent property at the intersection as a gas station is very ill-suited for the property and traffic demands on the area. The types of businesses proposed to occupy the new buildings, urgent care center, and drive-through restaurant in the site plan are also high traffic, quick stop destinations, which exacerbate concerns about public safety at this busy intersection. They are also not really neighborhood friendly and do not help promote small businesses at all. This particular area of the city is aside from a 7-Eleven and a couple pharmacies and dollar stores, very much small business oriented. Drive north in Winton from the intersection and it'll be evident. And lastly, we have Wendy Norris. Hello, I'm a homeowner and resident of North Winton Village. I'm writing to express my concern about the traffic impacts created by the proposed Winton Blossom Partners project at the intersection of North Winton and Blossom Roads. I would like to know if the city has prepared traffic and environmental impact studies. If so, are the studies available to the public for review prior to the approval of this project? If not, I would like to request traffic and environmental impact studies. This particular intersection is already quite busy with vehicular traffic, which makes it treacherous to pedestrians and cyclists. The current usage of the adjacent property at the intersection as a gas station is very ill-suited for the property and traffic demands of the area. The types of businesses proposed to occupy the new buildings, urgent care center, and drive-through restaurant in the site plan are also high traffic, quick stop destinations, which exacerbate concerns about public safety at this busy intersection. Thank you for your consideration. And that concludes the written comment that was received outside of the publication of the staff report. Any public comment received prior to that was attached and is posted online.
And the applicant has 5 minutes to rebut or provide any additional information if you wish.
Am I on mute? Am I off? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I think the only thing I will add, I'll address the comments. Traffic was reviewed by Monroe County DOT. I think that, everybody knows that there's traffic in the area, but it has been addressed to the satisfaction of the city's traffic consultant. David Cruzy is on the line. David is at SRF, and they prepared the traffic study for the project. As far as the neighborhood-friendly uses, all of the uses are permitted with the exception of the drive-through itself, which is just incidental and necessary to have the Starbucks. And the way the site plan has been designed, we put the drive-through as far to the west as possible. The zoning board will be reviewing the use variance for the drive-through on Thursday evening. It's not a matter in front of this board. And I don't know if there were any other comments in there, but I think we've met the requirements specific to the application before the board, which is really limited to the number of parking spaces.
All right, thank you, Betsy. Any other questions for the applicant before we close the case? All right, we will close this case. Thank you, Betsy.
Thank you so much.
And may we have the next case, please, Anna?
Case number 7, file number E26-2021, address 673 Glide Street. It's a special permit to consider an alternative parking plan for 33 spaces to serve the public entertainment use at the bar restaurant, Pashy's Bar and Grill, an action requiring City Planning Commission approval. And I have here that all present commissioners have visited the site.
And who do we have presenting?
We have the applicant, Mr. Albert Sonny. Albert, you just need to unmute yourself.
Mr. Sonny, are you there?
You just have to click, there you go.
All right, Mr. Sonny, I will swear you in, and then we'll let you present your presentation. Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Correct. Yes.
Yes, give us your full name, please.
It's Albert Sonny.
Thank you, Albert. And you may proceed, sir.
Well, thank you for this opportunity. Been trying to get this thing for almost a year now, partly through my fault and partly through the site itself. It's my very first time I must add in a Zoom meeting, so if you sense a little nerve, then I apologize. Actually, the other thing is, I don't know what I was thinking. I had it in my mind that that meeting was supposed to be on Wednesday. So I have a couple letters there from a couple of the neighbors. With their concern. Just want to start by saying, initially, when I decided to rent this place out, whilst I was doing my due diligence, I did talk to a number of the neighbors that lived closest to the establishment. And everyone I spoke with was in agreement. They said it would be good for the neighborhood. And also they informed me that, the place has always been a bar, and so they wouldn't have any problem with the bar. And what I'm asking for is, like the letter says, 33 extra parking space, because the establishment itself do not have the necessary space I need for my entertainment license, which if I do not have, it will be kind of like a put a drag on my business, because I really do need the entertainment license to be able to proceed with my business plan for that location.
Anything else, sir?
As far as the application?
Yes.
Yes, well, like I said, the 33 parking space that I need extra parking space, which is part of my alternative parking application. I needed to help facilitate my patrons.
Right. Again, anything else you would like to share before we have questions?
Well, I know when I made the application, the people from the neighborhood center, Mr. Wilder and Tammy, the person was Mr. Wilder who reached out to me, and I had a conversation with him, and I explained to him what he told me what is to be expected. And I told him this was a part of my business plan, really in agreement with my plan. Some neighbors did complain, like I said earlier, but I think it was just because one particular neighbor, I think she came down to my establishment. I don't know if this is the right time for this. And she said she was sorry. She didn't have an issue with me and the establishment per se. She had an issue with her landlord, which is also my landlord.
All right, anything else?
As far as right now, that's it.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to ask, are there any questions for the applicant?
I do.
Yes, sir.
I would like to ask the applicant, is this business in operation now?
Yes, it is.
For how long?
Just about a year now.
Okay. And have you been having entertainment at this place?
No entertainment. What I've done, I've had live. I've had stream music on some nights. I've had like continuous play stream music on my power speaker, having on my cell phone on my bartenders. This is what I've had.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant? Any other questions for the applicant?
Yeah, can you speak to the lease agreement a little bit? I see that there's you're allocating credit for parking for 9 spaces to the parking agreement. I think that's the lease agreement, and I guess I'm just a little bit confused. Is that the parking lot we were talking about earlier, or are there 9?
Yes.
The issue. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I see a lot of heads now.
Can I go on? Are you done with your question? I'm sorry.
But
yes, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. The issue with the parking is the 673, which is my establishment, 673 Glad, and 685, I think, which is the parking lot. It's it looks like one parcel, but it's 2 separate addresses. And when I made my due diligence to try and purchase this building, because up to this day, I'm still in the purchase of a contract with Mr. Farrell, which is the landlord. He did not tell me that the 673 and 685 was 2 separate parcels. In talking to my attorney, drawing up papers, my attorney discovered that in his discovery actions, and we brought it to his attention, but he didn't want to include 673. So initially, I thought 673 and 685 was one, but once we found out that we've been going back and forth with trying to resolve that between the landlord and I. And also, when I initially applied for my entertainment license, I was told by zoning that the parking lot was not legal, which I thought it was legal. And he told me during my due diligence that it was legal. So we went back and forth for months between zoning and Mary Kay, Mary Carr, we writing letters back and forth between him. And then after, I guess he realized there was no way around it. So he decided to make it legal. And what's taking it so long too is I was told in the beginning, in order for me to get my entertainment license, the parking lot had to be legal. And so it's when I got in contact with Anna, who's I guess is the, on this board here now, and she really explained most of the issues to me. And she told me, well, then I have to proceed with my application, and then they're going to incorporate the parking lot into it. So this is where we are.
Okay, so this lease is for 673 Glide. There's no separate lease for 685 Glide. Is that
I
correct?
think they have a separate application to make the parking lot legal right now. I think
Right, but you don't have a separate agreement to lease that parking lot.
the parking, when like I said to Anna a couple of days ago, and I think I should say it now too, when I spoke with the landlord, he gave me the impression, he told me that I have authority to park my cars in the parking lot for my customers. Along, he said, well, he has some customers that live in the building he lives in, which is right across the street from 673. That if his customers need park, they're going to use that parking lot. So basically, the lease says was shared parking with his tenants. Same parking lot of 685 or 673.
Okay, thank you.
So is this parking agreement for 668 across the street?
No, I think it's 685 direct. If you know the building, I think I heard that already in her opening thing that all members have been to the. So this is, it's one pass. It looks like one pass, but the parking lot and the building is two separate tax map, I guess, two separate tax map owned by the same person. And this is the 685. This is what he gave me authority. He gave me the okay to use for 673 also.
So does that mean that 673 doesn't have any available parking at all?
There is, I think, two. There is two spaces, I think, that is assigned to 673.
So there, John Farrar owns both 685 and 673 Glide Street. He's seeking to legally establish 685 Glide Street as an ancillary parking lot.
Correct.
And then and while this is happening, Mr. Sonny is looking to get an entertainment license for which there's a parking requirement. Mr. Sonny doesn't have any parking on site, so he has to get an alternative parking plan. He's part of his alternative parking plan is claiming 9 spaces at this adjacent parking lot, and to evidence agreement, he's provided his lease agreement, which shows that his landlord has acknowledged shared parking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is the 9 spaces that would be approved as part of the ancillary parkings.
The ancillary parking lot. So the ancillary parking lot talks about the mixed use building. There is a pre-existing deficiency for that mixed use building, so they don't have like a parking requirement that needs to be immediately satisfied.
So is the mixed use building the
building
applicant in this mixed use building?
Yes, he's the first floor tenant.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for the applicant? All right. Seeing none, hearing none. Anna, any testimony that's come in or comments?
Yep. So there were 8 comments that were included in the staff report. That means that by the time the staff report was published, we attached the first 8 comments. Since then, there have been a number of comments that have come outside of that publication. So I will read those into the record now for you. This first one comes from Tanya Lee. Why do we have to put up with this business? I'm tired of cleaning up trash, dirt, masks, and listening to loud music and yelling. Now they move food outside to make more garbage. City needs to close them down. No more parking, no more business. I am tired of walking in glass to use the bus. This next one is from Jerry Thomas. Why do we as a neighborhood have to police this guy? They had the audacity to have a hot dog stand on Sunset Street side. Why would we support this man when he does not follow the law? There was garbage from the hot dogs all over the place, plastic cups, napkins flying around the neighborhood. No, the answer is no, enough is enough. He needs to go. No spots to support more business. No. You need to have inspectors out at night or on call so that when they're up playing their little games, we can call on them. This is not a police matter. Our police are dealing with shooting and stabbing on a daily business. I feel the need, as many of my neighbors do, to now go out at night and take pictures and put our lives in danger. No, he is disrespecting me, my family, my neighbors, and neighborhood. This is from Louis Aponte. Last night, a Tuesday, as I was returning home, I came upon a circus at the corner of Lyle Glide Street. There was a black pickup truck parked on the grass at the corner with a hot dog cart still attached selling food. I'm pretty sure that the vehicle and cart still being attached is a violation of the safety law, but then there were so many cars parked along the gas station side of Sunset that people had to cut through the gas station to pull out of the street. As the width of the street doesn't allow the amount of traffic, I witnessed numerous people inside and outside, with two gentlemen peeing on the north side of the building. There were numerous cars parked on the lawns of the adjacent homes and on the sidewalks. I am and always will be a supporter of small businesses. This location is way too small for this amount of clientele, which then forces people out onto the street. I have personally gone there numerous times when it was a tavern, burger spot, and a taco burrito type of business. It is a nice small location that definitely does not meet the needs of the new ownership. Obviously, the location does not have adequate restroom facilities, as it's normal occurrence to see people peeing on the outside of the building or between cars. This is going to lead to a bad outcome when the heat hits. This amount of trash around the establishment from last night is horrendous and unacceptable. I wish they would have had a picture of the area before last night's activities, but who does that or plans for that level of activity on a Tuesday night? I don't know if they even have a liquor license, as there were so many people drinking out of McDonald's cups outside, many of which you can see lining up along the curbs on Sunset Street and the gas station parking lot. This is a good neighborhood, and the residents deserve support from City Hall. It looked like a carnival out there last night. Remember, this was just Tuesday. Thank you, Daisy, for your support of our neighborhoods. My pictures are horrible, but I just couldn't be late for work. I've owned my home in this neighborhood since April of 1998 and refused to allow this activity. So we have a number of pictures attached that show some of the trash in the surrounding area. This next one is from J.R. Jackson. Last night, Tuesday, May 5, vehicles converged on the neighborhood with loud music, blaring, screaming, yelling, all going into the bar. At 12:30 a.m., I went outside to ask a couple if they could take their argument away from the front of my house. I cannot write here what I was told to do, and they continued their argument another 20 minutes. We don't want any more spots to bring in more people. As a matter of fact, we don't want any of this nonsense going on. Garbage is still all over the property, broken glass. A neighbor calls all the time to get the garbage removed from the dumpster area. Cars without plates on them, old tires piled up. We assume it is from TMG Auto Sales, whose sticker is on a car parked in the parking lot of the business. I will also be reaching out to Mr. Payo to see what can be done to rezone this place or limit hours of operation. Neighbors have had enough. We are probably a small portion of the city where 80% of us actually work every day. The restaurant retired or disabled. We get no sleep and tired of cleaning up this place garbage. Next we have from Miss Washington. My feelings have not changed since my first email. No to 9 spots and hell no to 33 spots. This bar area is no bigger than my home, unless they're going to move some of it upstairs. The same problems plague our neighborhood since day one. Loud music, cigarette butts and broken bottles, beer cans and garbage all around the bar, which then blows into the neighborhood. Used condoms, face masks, and people who feel it is time to clean out their entire vehicle and leave the garbage in the street or our front yards. Urinating in the streets, yards, trees, etc. People who pull into the neighborhood are getting high and drinking in their vehicles. You can hear the laughing, screaming, talking loud on their phones 2 blocks away. The owner-operator doesn't even bother cleaning up right outside of the bar of this garbage. We have to cross the street to walk the dog to the corner store. My vote is no. Shut it down and give us back our neighborhood. And let's be honest, what good comes of a bar in the city of Rochester? Look at the stats. There will be violence here just like all the others. Next, we have from Joanna Johnson. Once again, I cannot stress enough the fact that this bar brings absolutely no value to the neighborhood, not a single positive. We do not want any expansion of parking spaces or anything else. The continuing disrespect of my property and that of my neighbors in the neighborhood are vulgar and highly offensive. Plus, we see the clerk's office website. He is selling shares of his business. This is a small bar, not a nightclub. The whole first floor bar area cannot be more than 800 square feet. The owner operator has big dreams for Little Bar. It won't work for him or us. And that concludes the public testimony on this project.
All right, that being said, the applicant has an opportunity to rebut or provide any additional information if you choose, sir.
Well, first I'm gonna just read out well, actually I have 4, but like I said, I thought this meeting was gonna be on Wednesday, so I have 2 of them in my establishment. The first 2 that I have is one from Louis A. Colon, which is the closest house to my establishment. It's right across the parking lot of 685, which is, it says, I don't know if you guys can see it. I think Anna might have this in the file because the folks are at the Neighborhood Watch Center, Mr. Bruce Waldo and Tammy. I had several meetings with Mr. Waldo and also Tammy. And this letter says, Louis Ecolon live at 691 Glide Street next for the bar. I don't have any issues with the bar. If I do, I'll speak with the owner. Thank you. And his telephone number is there. I don't know if you want me to read it out. I have from a tenant who lives directly above the bar, Mr. Marcus Pappin, 673 Glide Street. It says, to whom it may concern, I certify that I reside upstairs of the building. I was in Tashi's Bar and Grill, and that I do not have any problem with noise or loud music as a result of any activities held at that business. His telephone number is also there also, and I think Anna might have this if Tammy submitted that to her because she informed me that she was going to send the package. Also, I settled here in Rochester in 1995, and there's always been this stigma about Lyle Avenue. This is the story I heard, and but when I decided to open my business here, and way before, I realized it's not all parts of Lyle Avenue is bad, including where I am right now. Like one of the things that's read that this place has been a neighborhood bar for ages, and they had no issues before. And this is one of the reasons why I did my due diligence. I spoke with some neighbors and said they had no issues with it. I knocked on several doors. Not everyone opened the doors, but those who opened, they said they had no issues with it. And when I first spoke with Mr. Wilder, he also said that it shouldn't be a problem because it's been a bar restaurant for the longest. When I was initially applying for my application, the people at zoning also shared that same view also. As far as the garbage and the broken glasses, this is not, well, there's been times there's broken glasses, but I do every single day after a session. I may not go there early in the morning, but I go around, I clean up. Mr. Wilder from the neighborhood office, after some of this complaint about garbage, he himself came out and took pictures. And I saw him on my camera. I have surveillance cameras inside and outside of my building. So I see everything that goes on. My cameras are recording 24/7. He came out on the same day, one of those complaints came up, and he took pictures, and I saw him on the camera, and I asked my brother to go outside and see who's out there taking pictures. And in my meeting, he confirmed also to me that the complaint, he could see with the pictures he took, and when I got there that day, I also took some pictures of the thing that was around. Like I said, I do clean up every day, I walk the streets, and I talk to the neighbors. And the ones closest to the building, they have no problem. The one young lady who also was a tenant of my landlord that lives upstairs his building directly. She did 2 weeks ago. She personally came down to my establishment and sat in the bar and apologized to me and said she's sorry. She don't have any issues with me to say she has problems with the landlord, which had already evicted her for months, and she was going back and forth. She says she was sorry, but then 2 days later she wrote the same complaint about the tires. And I have, which I showed Mr. Bruce Wilder and Tammy at the neighborhood watch, that somebody pulled up on on the property and put those tires there. I have it on my camera. I showed them that. Also, the food cart that they talked about, that don't belong to me. This lady, she just showed up. When I found out she was outside, I immediately went to her and I told her she had to leave. She insisted she had a a permit from the city. I told her I don't believe her. The city won't give her a permit. Just besides, I have a full kitchen. I showed you guys pictures. I have my stove. I have with food in there. I have my grill also. If I need to do hamburgers, I do that. So I don't own a full cart. I don't need a food cart. I have a full kitchen with everything that I need in there. The pictures that I showed earlier shows I have food. I have the stove. I have the deep fryers. I have the stove top right in my that's attached to my my stove. The how you call it, the griddle. So I don't need a food cart. So that was what for me. Okay. So sometimes I do go back to the place a little late because sometimes when we initially first started, then the business was good. So sometimes when I finish when we close down at 2 a.m., I have to do my close out. Then I go home and then I go back to the place. So in the beginning, yes, there was a little issue, but I handled it quick. The neighbor from Mr. Colon, with the loud music coming in with cars are coming in, he talked to me about it. And sometimes in the beginning, the guys, yes, it's true, I'm not gonna lie, they were loud music, but I handle it. And the people who are coming to my establishment, they are regulars. You know, they're regulars, and they're the same ones who come every day. And they already know that this is something that they cannot do. They call me push out. Because when the time comes, I rock the parking lot, I say, we got to push out, we got to push out. And that's how most of my regulars call me, push out. Because this is what I say, we have to push out, time to go, we got to push out. I don't always have to be outside every single minute because I have to see, to help see what's going on inside too. But the question about peeing and not adequate bathrooms, I have 2 bathrooms inside. I'm not gonna say no, some people, maybe once in a while, I cannot say no, but I have adequate bathroom inside. My regulars who comes, they do know and they use it. As far as 3-5 blocks down the street, you know, I don't have much control on that. But when next day come, if I want time to go, I walk down the street, I say, fellas, we got to go, please, we have neighbors, you know, and Mr. Wilder and Tammy will attest to that also, because I think they also spoke with some of the neighbors, and they said the same thing to them also.
Okay, Mr. Albert, Sonny, you have to conclude your rebuttal.
Yes, thank you. Well, I have 2 more letters from the other young lady who's directly across the street. She's pretty much saying the same thing. Dre, her name is Dre, pretty much says the same thing. So another gentleman who lives on the other side of the parking lot, who lives upstairs in a studio apartment, pretty much said the same thing. And you know, and I have his number also. I don't have the letters from him because I left it in the bar. I'm at home right now. I was thinking his meeting was tomorrow. So.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. So that concludes the testimony. Is that right, Anna? We have nothing else?
That's correct.
All right. That being said, we will close this case and we will close this hearing. And I would suggest what we have about 8:50. Is that correct, Anna?
Yes.
Yes.
Let's reconvene at 10 minutes after 9. Give us about 20 minutes. Take care of any issues that you may have. All right, so we'll reconvene for deliberation at 9:10.